What if I told you that a 1991 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin millions of Americans once tossed into jars and glove compartments, is now selling for as high as $991,000? Yes, nearly $1 million for a single cent. And the surprising part? Many of these valuable pennies are still out there, waiting to be found. Today, we're diving into the story of the 1991 D. Lincoln penny, a coin whose rise in value has stunned collectors, investors, and everyday Americans who suddenly realize they've been sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what makes this coin so valuable, how to spot the features that push its price into the stratosphere, and how this one small discovery could change your financial future. So stay close, because the next few minutes might just be the most profitable ones you've spent all week. It all begins in the early 1990s. The United States Mint in Denver struck millions of pennies in 1991. On the surface, nothing about that production year suggested anything unusual. No historical event, no minting shortage, no major redesign. Just another year, another penny, another coin to help you grab a quick pack of gum. Yet, hidden among those millions of coins, a handful left the mint with an extraordinary level of perfection. Razor-sharp strikes, flawless surfaces, unusual clarity, almost no contact marks. And in the world of coin grading, perfection isn't just rare, it's powerful. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before these coins became the financial rockets they are today, they were simply part of everyday life. They jingled inside pockets, sat at the bottom of purses, rolled under car seats. Some of them perhaps in your hands without you ever knowing. And that's the part that sparks both excitement and regret. How many times have you spent a penny without even looking at the date? How many incredible coins slipped through your fingers? Don't worry, you're not alone. Every collector has felt that sting at least once. The key is what you do with the knowledge you gain today. The reason the 1991 D penny can soar into the $100,000 range, and even reach that staggering $991,000 level, is the same reason diamonds, art, and rare real estate skyrocket in value: flawless rarity. Most pennies from this year circulate for years, picking up scratches, dents, and wear. But a few were preserved in mint state condition so pristine that grading services like PCGS and NGC consider them virtually perfect. When a coin from an ordinary year achieves extraordinary perfection, the value doesn't just rise, it explodes. Imagine standing in an auction hall, heart pounding, as a modest-looking penny climbs from a few $100s to tens of thousands, and then keeps going. A room full of seasoned collectors staring in disbelief as the bidding war refuses to slow. That's the kind of energy the highest-grade 1991 D pennies generate today. You don't need to be a millionaire to appreciate the drama, although owning one of these coins might make you one. Of course, the question everyone asks is simple. How do you know if you've found one of these rare gems? What separates a $1 million penny from the pocket change rolling around in your cup holder? The first step is the mint mark. Look carefully below the date on the front of the coin. You should see a small letter D. That indicates it came from the Denver Mint. But don't celebrate just yet. The D Mint mark alone won't make you rich, though it's a good start. The next step is condition. And this is where things get intense. For a 1991 D penny to have life-changing value, it needs to be in near-perfect condition. Brilliant luster, no scratches, no discoloration, crisp edges. Lincoln's coat details must be sharp enough to look like they were carved yesterday. Even the smallest mark can drop the value dramatically. Think of it like buying a luxury car. Tiny dings may seem irrelevant, but collectors are ruthless. They want perfection, and they're willing to pay anything for it. And then there are the errors. A subtle doubling on the lettering, a misaligned die, a faint off-center strike. These tiny, almost invisible mistakes can create a coin so unique that collectors open their wallets without hesitation. Some of the most valuable 1991 D pennies combine an ultra-high grade with a desirable error, producing an unstoppable storm of rarity and demand. The kind of combination that can turn a penny into a retirement plan. Now, you might be thinking, who in the world pays nearly $1 million for a penny? And the answer is simple: those chasing legacy, history, and the thrill of owning something no one else has. High-profile collectors, wealthy investors diversifying their portfolios, even museums eager to display a modern rarity. For them, owning a flawless 1991 D penny isn't just about the money. It's about prestige. It's about holding a piece of American minting history in the palm of your hand. But here's the part many people overlook. You don't need to be a collector to find one of these coins. You just need curiosity, awareness, and a little bit of luck. These pennies appear in old coin jars discovered during spring cleaning. They show up in forgotten collections passed down from grandparents. They sit inside envelopes where someone once intended to save this because it looks shiny, and then forgot about it for 30 years. One person's forgotten penny is another person's new chapter of wealth. This is where the story becomes personal. Picture your own life for a moment, your goals, your plans, your dreams. Maybe it's financial freedom, maybe early retirement, maybe paying off debt, remodeling your home, or creating a legacy for your family. Now imagine that all of it is sitting in a small coin you never bothered to check. Imagine the feeling of opening an old drawer and realizing that inside it is a penny capable of rewriting your financial story. That sense of sudden possibility is electric, and once you feel it, you can never look at change the same way again. But here comes the cliffhanger. The window of opportunity is closing. The market for rare modern coins is booming, but collectors are absorbing the highest-grade examples rapidly. Every year that passes, fewer untouched 1991 D pennies remain in circulation. And once they're locked away in long-term collections, they almost never return. If you wait too long, the penny that could have transformed your life might become a treasure for someone else. That's the fear that drives the smartest investors to act now, not later. So how do you move forward? Start by checking your penny jars, your old wallets, your desk drawers. Look for the date. Look for the D. Hold the coin up to the light. Does it shine like a brand new piece? Does it look too perfect to be true? If so, you may have something special. But don't guess, verify. Professional grading is your golden ticket. A coin that looks impressive to the untrained eye can explode in value when placed in the hands of certified graders. This is where everyday pennies become life-changing assets. And here's something worth repeating. You don't have to be a coin expert. You just have to take action. Every great collector, every major investor, every person who ever found a rare coin worth 6 or 7 figures started the same way, by simply looking, by paying attention, by recognizing that wealth often hides in plain sight. Sometimes, it hides inside a penny you ignored for years. As we approach the end, the truth becomes unmistakable. The 1991 D Lincoln penny is more than a coin. It's a reminder that opportunity doesn't always look grand or dramatic. Sometimes it's small, quiet, and unassuming. Sometimes it weighs only 2.5 grams and fits between your fingertips. But its power, its potential, its ability to shift your financial trajectory, that part is enormous. So the next time you hold a penny, ask yourself a simple question. Am I holding a 1-cent piece, or am I holding a masterpiece? A treasure, $1 million secret, the kind of discovery people dream about, the kind that could literally change everything. Imagine finding a single penny in an old jar, brushing it off with zero expectations, and suddenly realizing you're holding something that could change your entire financial destiny. Sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? Yet tonight, that unbelievable story might become your reality, because the humble 1989 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, yes, the coin you've probably ignored your whole life, has shocked collectors by reaching a current market value of up to $989,000. And some rare error varieties? They've sold for prices that push into the millions. So before you toss your change into another drawer, listen closely. This might be the most profitable 10 minutes you spend all year. The journey begins in a time that feels deceptively ordinary. The year is 1989. Nothing about the newly minted Lincoln pennies looked special on the surface. Billions were produced, and most people used them to buy gum, feed parking meters, or leave them in tip jars. Meanwhile, a tiny fraction of these coins quietly slipped into circulation carrying stunning minting anomalies. Errors so rare that today they're considered treasures in the numismatic world. Some were struck off-center, others carried doubled features, and a few exhibit subtle imperfections so hard to spot they were overlooked for decades. Now imagine the fear of realizing you might have thrown one of these away years ago. Or worse, that one might be sitting in a dusty box somewhere in your home, completely untouched, waiting to be discovered by someone else. Collectors and investors across the country are racing to hunt these beauties down. Why? Because the value spike has been nothing short of jaw-dropping. A high-grade 1989 no-mint mark penny, preserved in near-perfect condition with the right error, has recently commanded prices that would humble even seasoned investors. Think about that. A coin that cost 1 cent is now worth a luxury home, or a year of worldwide vacations, or the financial security people spend decades chasing. Isn't it wild how life-changing opportunities hide in plain sight? Sometimes it's not the big investments, it's the small ones that everyone else ignores. But here's where the story widens. The reason these coins have exploded in value isn't luck. It's scarcity meeting demand. The numismatic community has grown dramatically over the last decade. People who once collected stamps, antiques, or watches are now pouring into coin collecting because the returns have been outperforming traditional markets. And when millions of eyes turn to rare coins, prices behave like rockets. If you've ever dreamed of stepping into the world of high-value collectibles, this is where the door creaks open. The only question is, will you step through it? Now, let's explore what makes the 1989 penny so deceivingly powerful. First, the absence of a mint mark means it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Normal, right? Except the minting process that year created just enough imperfections for collectors to become obsessed. Subtle doubling on Lincoln's profile, faint distortions in the lettering, and minute die cracks all created micro-variations. Some of these variations exist in such tiny quantities that only a handful are known today. Imagine owning one of those. Imagine being one of the owners of the rarest form of a coin everyone else thinks is worthless. If that doesn't stir a little excitement in your chest, check your pulse. Still, the truly breathtaking part is how quickly the value is climbing. A decade ago, these coins sold for hundreds. A few years later, for thousands. Now, nearly $1 million and climbing fast. And collectors fear that once these coins are found, graded, and locked into private collections, the supply will freeze. That means the next wave of sellers might be the last ones to benefit from this runaway demand. If you've been waiting for a sign that it's time to check every penny you own, this is it. Of course, laughter sometimes sneaks into this journey. Ever looked at a penny and thought, yeah, this is my retirement plan? Probably not. But life is funny that way. One moment you're dismissing something as pocket change, and the next moment it's bringing you generational wealth. And honestly, wouldn't it be nice if the universe finally handed you a plot twist in your favor? But let's get a bit serious again. People often regret the opportunities they never recognized. That's where fear creeps in, the fear of letting something valuable slip through your fingers. Because right now, collectors are scouring the market, buying every promising 1989 penny they can find. Some are even hiring private graders to authenticate coins found in family estates. The competition is real. And once these elite-grade coins are purchased, they're rarely ever resold. Wealthy buyers hold them as long-term assets, like paintings or precious metals. That means time is working against anyone who delays searching their own collections. This brings us to an important truth. You don't need to be a trained expert to uncover a fortune. You just need awareness. Start with the basics. Look for clean, sharp details. Mint state luster. Any unusual doubling on the date or the words "In God We Trust." Any distortion around Lincoln's eye, beard, or jacket. Even a tiny anomaly can skyrocket the value from $1 to $1 million. And the best part? These coins are still out there, hiding in jars, drawers, and old boxes, waiting for the right pair of eyes to recognize them. But here's a cliffhanger for you. Some experts are now whispering about an ultra-rare 1989 era variety that may not have been publicly discovered yet. A version so unique, so different, that they believe it could surpass every record currently set. If that coin exists, and many believe it does, the person who finds it will almost certainly walk away with a multimillion-dollar payday. And it could be hiding in any home across America, maybe even yours. This is where excitement and urgency collide. Every day that passes, more people get educated, more collectors join the hunt, and more 1989 pennies get snapped up. The window is narrowing. And imagine how it would feel to watch someone else find a life-changing penny while yours sits unnoticed in a forgotten drawer. That's the kind of regret that lingers for decades. But there's still time right now to take action. So picture this. You sit down tonight, open that old coffee can filled with coins, and begin sorting. Penny after penny passes through your fingers. Suddenly, one coin looks different. Crisper shine. A subtle imperfection. Your heart kicks up. You check the date. 1989. No mint mark. You look closer. A flaw, just where collectors said it might be. In that moment, everything changes. And the penny everyone else overlooked becomes the penny that elevates your financial future. This isn't about luck. This is about awareness, opportunity, and the courage to act. The 1989 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny has already proven itself as a wealth-building powerhouse. Its current market value of $989,000 is not a fantasy. It's a reality backed by real sales, real collectors, and real demand. And the next big discovery may come from someone just like you. So before you move on with your day, make yourself a promise. Search your pennies. Look for what others ignore. Because fortunes aren't always made by chasing what's obvious. Sometimes they're made by recognizing the extraordinary hiding inside the ordinary. And as long as these 1989 treasures remain out there, waiting to be found, your moment of transformation could be just one penny away. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of pennies, and pulling out a coin so rare, so staggeringly valuable, that it changes the course of your financial future forever. Sounds impossible, right? Yet this is exactly what has happened to ordinary Americans. People who had no idea they were holding a fortune in the palm of their hand. And today we're talking about one of the most shocking discoveries of them all. The 1988 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that has recently stunned collectors by reaching a current market value of $988,000, and in the most extreme cases, pushing into million-dollar territory. Yes, you heard that right. A 1-cent coin with the power to push you into a wealth bracket most people only dream about. Now, before you toss your couch cushions or sprint to your attic, stay with me, because the truth behind this coin is far more intriguing, far more unexpected, and far more urgent than anyone realizes. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, how to identify the valuable varieties, and how a simple penny could be the key that unlocks the lifestyle you've always imagined. Let's go back for a moment. Back to a year that many Americans remember vividly. 1988. The economy was shifting, technology was accelerating, and the U.S. Mint was producing Lincoln cents by the billions. Nobody imagined that one tiny error, one nearly invisible detail, would create a financial opportunity that decades later would spark bidding wars, heated collector battles, and life-changing payouts. But that's exactly what happened. A few rare 1988 pennies escaped the mint with features that were never meant to be there. Features collectors today are willing to pay unfathomable amounts of money to own. And here's where things get interesting. Most people believe the 1988 no-mint mark penny is just pocket change. After all, the Philadelphia Mint didn't use a mint mark at the time, so almost every 1988 penny technically has no mint mark. But these ultra-rare coins aren't valuable because of the mint mark. They're valuable because of something far more hidden and much more dramatic. The clues are subtle, but not subtle enough to escape the eyes of eagle-eyed collectors. Somewhere along the production lines, a reverse die from a completely different year slipped into the 1988 run, creating what's now known as the 1988 reverse of 1989 variety. This means a small number of these pennies carry design elements that should belong to a later year. Think of it like a coin time traveler born in 1988, but carrying a detail from the future. And just like anything rare, unexpected, and mistakenly created, collectors want it desperately. How desperately? Well, imagine someone handing you a check for nearly $1 million for a penny you didn't even know was special. Sounds outrageous. But that's exactly what has been happening at top auction houses, where pristine examples of the 1988 no-mint mark variety have reached evaluations up to $988,000, and projections suggest a perfect example could easily cross into seven-figure territory. 1 cent turning into a luxury home, a retirement plan, a dream life. If that doesn't spark a little excitement, what will? But hold on, before you start digging through every penny you've ever touched, remember this: Not all 1988 pennies carry this hidden feature. In fact, the vast majority don't. That's what makes the chase thrilling. That's what keeps collectors searching late at night, flipping coins under magnifying lamps like treasure hunters. And it's what makes the possibility of finding one feel like uncovering buried gold in your own house. The fear of missing out becomes very real when you hear stories of people who unknowingly spent rare pennies on coffee or dropped them in tip jars. Imagine finding out years later that you accidentally gave away almost $1 million. It's enough to make anyone check every penny twice, so how do you know if you're one of the lucky few who unknowingly possesses this rare treasure? The secret lies on the reverse side of the coin. The lettering, the shape of the memorial building, the designer's initials, they hide the clues. On certain 1988 pennies, the style of the letters matches the design used for the 1989 Lincoln cent, not the 1988. It's a tiny difference, almost laughably small. But in the world of rare coins, tiny details are everything. One small engraving shift can mean the difference between 1 cent and 1 million. This level of detail is why serious collectors pay life-changing money. They're not just buying a coin, they're buying history, rarity, and the thrill of owning something so few people even know exists. And let's be honest, wouldn't you want to be the person who made that discovery? The person who tells the story at dinner parties. Oh, that beach house? I bought it with a penny. Sounds like a joke, but the kind of joke everyone wishes they could tell. And here's where things get even more surprising. The market for rare error pennies is booming like never before. As more people learn about these overlooked treasures, competition increases. And when collectors compete, prices rise. The same 1988 penny that might have sold for a few $1,000s a decade ago is now approaching the $1 million mark. That's not just appreciation, that's acceleration. The kind of acceleration that people chasing financial freedom dream about. A simple coin becoming a vehicle for wealth. A tiny copper-plated disc unlocking the kind of security that takes most people decades to earn. But there's a catch, and here's where the urgency comes in. Every year, these coins become harder to find. They disappear into private collections, they get locked into safes, they move into long-term investment portfolios. Once they're gone, they're gone. And the fewer remain in circulation, the higher the value climbs. Waiting too long to check your old jars, drawers, and inherited collections could be the difference between finding a treasure and missing your chance forever. And let me ask you something. When was the last time you really looked at your pennies? Not just glanced, but inspected? Probably never. Most people ignore them entirely. But ignoring them could mean walking away from an opportunity that might never come again. Imagine the emotional punch of realizing you had the rare 1988 penny in your possession years ago, and you let it slip away. No one wants to feel that. Fear can be a powerful motivator, but so can hope. And right now, hope is knocking. Because the truth is, anyone watching this right now could be holding one of these rare coins without knowing it. Your pocket change, your glove compartment, that old box of coins you inherited from a family member who collected everything, just in case. These coins show up in the most unexpected places. And every time one surfaces, it reminds people that opportunities for wealth don't always look golden or glamorous. Sometimes they look ordinary. Sometimes they look like a penny. So take a moment, breathe, and picture what finding that coin would feel like. The weight of it, the realization, the adrenaline, the phone call you'd make to a trusted buyer or auction house. The moment your life pivots from ordinary to extraordinary, simply because you paid attention, because you cared enough to look. And of course, here's the question everyone is secretly wondering. Could the next $1 million penny be hiding in your home right now? Could you be the person who goes from curiosity to discovery to wealth, all from a coin worth only 1 cent on paper? That's the cliffhanger of this entire journey. And it's why collectors, investors, and everyday Americans are checking their coins more now than ever before. Before this video ends, there's one final thing you should know. A detail that separates those who succeed in this hobby from those who miss their chance. Rare coin opportunities don't come from luck alone. They come from awareness, timing, and action. People who live wealthy lives are people who pay attention to the small things that others ignore. The ones who take an ordinary moment, like looking at a penny, and turn it into a life-changing decision. So after you finish watching, don't wait. Don't put it off for later. Go check your pennies. Inspect those old jars and inherited boxes. Look for the clues, the details, the markers that set this rare 1988 no-mint mark penny apart. Because the next person who finds one could very well be the next person whose life transforms forever. And who knows, if fortune favors you, your path to wealth might already be sitting somewhere in your home. Quiet, unassuming, waiting for the moment you finally notice it. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of pennies, and discovering a single coin that could change your entire financial future. A coin that looks ordinary, brown, worn, maybe even forgotten for decades. Yet its value today can rise all the way to the edge of $1 million. It sounds unbelievable, almost like something you'd hear in a late-night movie. But the truth is much stranger and much more profitable. Because the USA 1978 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny has become one of the most aggressively hunted coins in the modern collector market, with top-grade examples selling for up to an astonishing $978,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for a penny. And millions for the rarest, elite, near-impossible specimens that only a handful of people on Earth have ever seen. That's not fantasy. That's the real market today. But why this coin? Why 1978? And why are ordinary Americans, people with old coffee cans, desk drawers, boxes of inherited coins, suddenly finding themselves sitting on life-changing opportunities without even knowing it? The story behind this tiny copper treasure is full of mystery, scarcity, and an unexpected twist in U.S. mint history that turned a common year into a gold mine for those who pay attention. And if you stay with me until the end, you'll learn the specific traits that can make a 1978 penny go from pocket change to generational wealth. So don't blink, because the next few minutes may forever change the way you look at every single penny you've ever touched. It all begins with a quiet shift happening inside the U.S. Mint during the late 1970s. Production was booming. Billions of pennies were being churned out. But behind closed doors, something was going wrong. Dies were wearing out faster than expected, maintenance schedules were inconsistent, and pressure was building to keep production on time. And whenever pressure rises, mistakes follow. These mistakes, tiny, nearly invisible to the naked eye, created a series of rare die varieties in 1978. Errors so unique that they don't just increase value, they multiply it. Collectors today know that high-grade 1978 coins are extremely challenging to find. Why? Because these pennies circulated heavily. They were never seen as special. They were never saved in rolls or bags. They were spent, scraped, dropped, tossed, and worn down by decades of everyday use. That means surviving mint-state examples, especially those untouched, uncirculated pieces with perfect surfaces, are incredibly scarce. And scarcity is the oxygen that fuels record-breaking prices. Think about it. When billions of a coin are minted, you assume they're worthless. But what if the number of surviving high-grade coins is closer to a few dozen? Maybe a few hundred at the most? Suddenly, the 1978 penny becomes rarer than famous silver dollars, rarer than many gold coins, and in some cases, rarer than early American cents from the 1800s. It's a simple equation. The fewer that remain, the more desperate collectors become. And where there is desperation, there is money. A lot of money. But the real ignition point came when grading services began uncovering a pattern. The highest grade 1978 pennies they found, those few miraculous coins that had somehow escaped circulation, displayed exceptionally sharp strikes, almost proof-like luster and flawless surfaces. These were coins struck from fresh dies, preserved immediately, and untouched by human hands for over 40 years. And when coins like that appear, collectors compete. When they compete, prices climb. And when prices climb far enough, the entire market wakes up. People started asking questions. Where are these coins coming from? Why are the few that exist worth nearly $1 million? And perhaps the most urgent question, could there be more out there hiding in plain sight? That is the moment the fear kicks in. The fear of missing out. The fear that someone else might stumble upon a fortune that could have been yours. The fear that the jar of pennies you gave away or dumped into a Coinstar machine last year may have held your ticket to financial freedom. And that fear is not imaginary. Many collectors today openly admit they missed their chance. They handled these coins. They spent them. They ignored them. Some even threw away boxes of old pennies during house moves. One man accidentally vacuumed up a roll of old copper cents while cleaning his garage. Can you imagine vacuuming your way past $1 million? It happens more often than you think. But let's not stay in fear for long, because the excitement comes next. And that's where the real opportunity lives. The truth is, these high-value 1978 pennies have been found in everyday places. Old jars, estate collections, bank rolls, inherited containers no one had opened since the 1980s. One lucky family in the Midwest discovered an uncirculated set of pennies stored inside a sealed envelope for over 40 years. One of those pennies sold for well over 6 figures. Not bad for something they assumed was worthless pocket change. The question now becomes, what makes one of these pennies worth $978,000 while another is worth 1 cent? The answer lies in 3 things: condition, rarity, and specific die varieties that developed during production. Some show doubled dies. Some show sharply polished fields that look almost mirror-like. Some display unusually crisp details in Lincoln's hair and beard. Numismatists call these strong strikes, and collectors will pay more for them than most people make in a year. But even beyond rarity and condition, there's something bigger happening, something transformative, something that speaks directly to people who want more from life. More choices, more opportunities, more financial peace. Over the past decade, rare coins have become one of the most surprising alternative investments in America. They've outperformed traditional assets. They've grown even during recessions. And they've created sudden wealth for people who never saw themselves as investors at all. People who were simply curious. People who took a moment to look at what they already owned. And that brings us to the turning point. Right now, at this very moment, the demand for high-grade copper pennies from the 1970s is exploding. More collectors, more investors, more competition. And rising competition means rising value. What's rare today becomes priceless tomorrow. And what's priceless tomorrow becomes legendary in the future. The 1978 penny isn't just a coin anymore. It's a symbol of hidden abundance, of overlooked fortune, of the wealth that waits quietly in the corners of ordinary life. But before you run to your coin jar, there's a cliffhanger you need to hear, because the most valuable 1978 pennies aren't just difficult to find. They are unbelievably deceptive. Some look perfect but hide microscopic scratches that slash their value. Some appear normal but are actually rare die varieties worth hundreds of thousands. Some sit in collections for decades before anyone realizes what they truly are. And the most expensive one discovered so far? It sat in a small family box of coins for nearly 44 years. No one even knew it existed. Now imagine this. What if the next record-breaking penny is still out there? What if it's in your home right now? In your attic, your basement, your safe, your father's old coin book, the jar you haven't opened in years? What if the coin that could transform your financial life has been waiting for you this entire time? And what if, just like the families who discovered their hidden treasures, you are only one moment of awareness away from finding it? The opportunity is real. The market is hot. The stakes are high. And the window is still open, but not forever. As more collectors certify their coins and more high-grade examples enter the market, scarcity increases, prices spike, and the world of opportunity shifts again. So don't wait. Don't assume. Don't let fear paralyze you. And whatever you do, don't let someone else discover your fortune before you do. Search your jars. Open your drawers. Check your inherited boxes. Examine every 1978 penny carefully. Because one of them, just one, could be the key to a wealthier, freer, more powerful future. And here's the final cliffhanger. The greatest fortunes in coin collecting were never discovered by experts. They were found by ordinary people who simply looked twice at something everyone else ignored. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old coffee jar of pennies, and discovering that one tiny brown coin is worth more than your entire house. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet today, that unbelievable story could be yours. Because the humble 1969 D. Lincoln penny, the 1-cent piece most people overlook, can sell for life-changing money. Some rare examples have reached values up to the millions, and its current known market value reaches an astonishing $969,000. 1 cent, becoming nearly $1 million. So before you ever toss a penny aside again, you may want to sit with this video until the end. What you're about to hear could change the way you look at the coins hiding in your home forever. But the truth is, most people don't believe in financial miracles until they watch someone else experience one. And the fear of missing out on that opportunity is exactly what keeps so many people stuck in the same lifestyle year after year. What if the wealth you've been chasing your whole life has been sitting quietly in a drawer, in your attic, or in that forgotten coin box your grandfather left behind? What if your ticket to a wealthy lifestyle is smaller than a quarter and lighter than a stick of gum? This is the story of the 1969 D Lincoln penny, a coin minted in massive numbers, a coin everyone thought was ordinary, until collectors realized that a handful of these could break auction records and rewrite the future of anyone lucky enough to own one. And if you're thinking, well, there's no way I have something like that, stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what separates a penny worth 1 cent from a penny worth a luxury home. It all begins with a mystery. In 1969, the Denver Mint produced over 4 billion pennies. With numbers that large, how could any of them be rare? How could any reach the kind of value that makes millionaires out of everyday Americans? The answer lies in tiny details. Details so small that most people never even see them. But those tiny imperfections, those minting errors, are exactly what turns a regular coin into a financial lightning strike. Collectors aren't paying big money for a penny because it's old. They're paying for the secret flaws, double dies, misaligned strikes, sharp, bold details that shouldn't exist. And one of the most valuable error types ever discovered is linked to the 1969 series. A normal 1969 penny is worth a cent. A rare 1969 double die penny? It has crossed the $1 million threshold. And this is where things get exciting and a little terrifying, because a rare coin like that could be sitting in front of you right now, and you might not even know what you're looking at. Ever thrown away a penny? Yeah, you might rethink that after this. Now, you may be wondering, why does the D Mint mark even matter? The Denver Mint made most of the pennies Americans used in daily life, but their quality control in certain years wasn't perfect. Mistakes slipped through the cracks, doubled inscriptions, ghosted outlines, letters that look like they're vibrating. Imagine a minting machine stamping the same image twice, ever so slightly off, like a photocopy that jittered. To collectors, that mistake isn't a flaw. It's a treasure. It's the difference between pocket change and a luxury car. But here's the twist. Not all double dies are created equal, and not all 1969 D pennies are instantly valuable. This is where people get burned. This is where fear creeps in. Many folks get excited, grab a magnifying glass, and think every smudged letter is worth a fortune. They rush to sell. They get scammed. They get disappointed. Don't fall for that trap. The real prize is incredibly specific, known by only a few, and authenticated by experts. And that challenge, that uncertainty, is exactly what makes this coin so thrilling. So what should you look for? Imagine holding the coin under light. Focus on the date, on the word liberty, on the phrase "I in God we trust." On a true double die, the doubling is bold, thick, unmistakable. Not fuzzy, not soft. It looks like the design was punched twice with intention. If your coin has that level of doubling, congratulations. You may be holding something that could rewrite your financial future. And if it doesn't, don't get discouraged. Even lesser errors, like repunched mint marks or off-center strikes, can bring in hundreds or thousands of dollars. Wouldn't you rather be the person who checked instead of the person who didn't? Now imagine the moment the truth hits you. You send the coin in for grading. You wait. Your heart races a little. You check your email 5 times a day. And then finally, the certified grade arrives. Mint state, sharp details, true doubling. And suddenly, your stomach drops. You realize this little brown coin could go to auction and reach $200,000, $300,000, maybe even $969,000 depending on demand. And demand is only increasing, especially as more Americans start digging through old coin collections, hoping to uncover forgotten wealth. Collectors aren't just looking for these coins. They're chasing them, competing for them, And the wealth potential is real. This isn't crypto. This isn't the stock market. This is physical money with historical significance and a limited supply. Once all the rare ones are found, that's it. No more. Scarcity drives value. And wealthy collectors pay premiums for scarce objects. That's why a coin that cost 1 cent to produce can now buy a sports car, a dream vacation, or pay off all your debts in one stroke. But here's the cliffhanger. What if the next six-figure 1969 D-penny hasn't been discovered yet? What if it's not in a collector's vault? Not in a museum, but sitting inside your home right now, in a jar of old coins, in a forgotten drawer, inside a purse you haven't opened in 20 years. That's the kind of thought that keeps people up at night and drives thousands to start searching. You don't need to be rich to find one. You don't need to be an expert. All you need is curiosity, patience, and a willingness to look twice. And even if your coin isn't the million-dollar variety, remember this: many 1969 D-pennies in high-grade condition, shiny, crisp, almost untouched, can fetch impressive amounts too. Sometimes hundreds, sometimes thousands. That's still a powerful return on something most people literally step over on sidewalks. And if you're thinking this all sounds too good to be true, consider this. Every major rare penny discovery started the same way. Someone who wasn't looking for wealth stumbled onto it by accident. A guy sorting through a box of coins he inherited. A woman cleaning out her father's garage. A teenager who liked collecting pocket change. None of them expected to find a treasure, but they did. And someone watching this now will too. The biggest mistake people make is assuming that rare coins only belong to coin experts or wealthy collectors. But the reality is, the most extraordinary finds usually come from normal families, just like yours, who held onto old change without knowing its value. And the fear of missing out on that one major opportunity is what pushes people to finally take action. So here's the question. What's stopping you from checking your old coins? Why let the chance slip through your fingers? Why leave wealth sitting in a box when it could be building the lifestyle you've dreamed about for years? A beach house, a new truck, early retirement, time freedom, security for your kids. That's the power a single rare penny can carry. And the 1969 D? It's one of the most exciting coins in American numismatics. High value, high demand, high competition. Exactly the kind of opportunity that rewards the people who act, not the people who wait. If you've stayed until this point, you're already ahead of the majority. Most people quit early. Most people think pennies are worthless. You stayed because you know there's more out there for you. You stayed because you're searching for something bigger. You stayed because deep down, you believe you're meant to live wealthier than the life you were handed. So before this video ends, here's your final cliffhanger. Somewhere in America, another rare penny is waiting to be found. Someone will pick it up. Someone will check it. Someone will get that life-changing phone call from an auction house. The only question left is simple. Imagine waking up one morning, opening that old forgotten drawer, and discovering a single penny that has the power to change your entire financial future. Sounds unbelievable, right? But what if I told you that a humble 1968 D Lincoln penny, the same coin many people overlooked for decades, is now shocking collectors with values reaching as high as $968,000, and in some rare scenarios even climbing into the millions? Yes, a 1-cent coin with the potential to create a life of freedom, abundance, and wealth. And today, you're going to learn exactly why this coin is exploding in value, how to identify the rare traits that make it a fortune maker, and what you must do right now before the window of opportunity closes. It's fascinating how something as small as a penny can carry such enormous power. But the 1968 D Lincoln penny is no ordinary piece of copper. Behind its value lies a story of scarcity, errors, hidden variations, and a rising collector market desperate to find high-grade survivors. The kind of demand that can turn everyday Americans into wealthy sellers literally overnight. You might be wondering, how does a coin this common suddenly become a treasure? And more importantly, could one of these life-changing pennies already be sitting quietly in your home? Before we uncover the truth, let's rewind the clock. The year is 1968. The Denver Mint was producing hundreds of millions of Lincoln pennies, but the world was shifting. New minting techniques were being tested, dye varieties slipped through, and quality control wasn't what it is today. Most coins from this year were handled roughly, tossed into circulation, scraped, pocket-worn, and forgotten. But a handful, just a very small handful, were struck with nearly flawless precision. A select few reveal microscopic doubling, die breaks, and rare minting anomalies that make the hearts of collectors race even today. These exceptional coins are the stars of record-breaking auctions. And when a penny from a year most people consider common breaks past 6 figures, the entire coin market takes notice. Here's where the excitement begins, because the 1968 D-penny has something most coins never achieve: extreme separation between ordinary and extraordinary. A circulated 1968 D-penny might only be worth a few cents, maybe a few dollars if lightly worn. But a pristine, untouched, sharply struck example? That's where the magic begins. Some have soared into the high hundreds of thousands, with verified sales near $968,000. And the most flawless, most desirable, most visually perfect examples, well, let's just say serious collectors whisper about 7-figure potential. Sounds thrilling, and it is, but it also brings a quiet fear. How many people threw away small fortunes because they didn't know what to look for? Could you be holding one right now and not even realize it? Collectors chase several key traits that instantly separate a normal penny from a $1 million one. The first is grade. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC with extremely high mint state ratings are the true giants of the market. Think of it like real estate. The better the condition, the more buyers fight over it. Then there are rare errors. Doubling on the date, doubling on the word liberty, unusually sharp details, or dramatic die cracks are the kinds of traits that turn a simple penny into a once-in-a-generation treasure. Want an easy visual? If your penny looks so clean that you almost question whether it was minted yesterday, you might want to get excited, and maybe a little nervous too. But let's be honest for a moment. Most people assume they'll never find something valuable. They think it's just a penny, who cares? But that mindset is exactly how fortunes slip through fingers. Every major coin discovery in the last decade has come from someone who didn't expect it. Everyday Americans, teachers, small business owners, retirees, mechanics, finding life-changing value in the last place they ever thought to look. That's why urgency matters. The market for rare pennies is heating up fast. Prices are climbing. Collectors are aggressively hunting high-grade examples before they become impossible to obtain. Waiting too long could mean missing out entirely. Imagine this. Suddenly, you're holding a 1968 D-penny with incredible luster, razor-sharp edges, and a bold strike that seems almost unreal. Your heart starts beating a little faster. Maybe you laugh nervously and think, no way, this can't be worth that much. But the truth is, you won't know until you take the next step. That's the cliffhanger that's changing lives, because every single rare coin discovery begins with one decision: the decision to check. But the story of the 1968 D-penny isn't just about rarity. It's about transformation, about turning something ordinary into a pathway to wealth. Many people dream of a better lifestyle: financial security, travel, paying off debts, helping their family, or finally retiring comfortably. What if something as simple as an overlooked coin could be the first step toward that life? It sounds almost poetic, doesn't it? A symbol of the American dream hidden in your pocket change. And maybe, just maybe, the universe has already placed the opportunity in your home. The real question is, will you take advantage of it? Now let's talk strategy, because opportunity means nothing without action. Start by inspecting every 1968 D-penny you find. Look for sharp details, strong mint luster, and no visible wear. Use good lighting. Use magnification if you have it. Any doubling, unusual marks, or striking sharpness is a clue. If you find something promising, do not clean the coin. Cleaning destroys value faster than anything else. Instead, keep it safe and consider submitting it for grading. High-grade certified coins are where the big money is made. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even 7 figures for the right piece. And here's a thought to stir a bit of humor into the tension. Imagine telling your friends you built your wealth not from crypto, real estate, or stock trades, but from a penny worth nearly $1 million. 1 cent becoming $968,000. The irony alone is priceless. But remember, the biggest danger is ignorance. Every year, valuable coins vanish into vending machines, donation jars, or pocket change circulation because people didn't know any better. It's unsettling to think about. How many fortunes have disappeared this way? How many more will be lost before people start paying attention? Don't let your story be one of regret. Let it be one of discovery. The market is shifting fast. Collectors are pushing prices higher. Auction houses are reporting record interest in mid-century Lincoln pennies. And experts believe the next wave of million-dollar coins will likely come from the 1960s and 1970s. That means the 1968 D-penny is perfectly positioned for explosive growth. If the current high value of $968,000 shocks you, just imagine what the next 5 to 10 years might bring. Coins that are rare today will be legendary tomorrow. Stay with me, because we're nearing the part people often regret skipping. Here's the final insight you absolutely need. Scarcity increases every year. Coins get damaged. Coins get lost. Coins get spent. Coins get destroyed. But collectors? They only grow in number. This imbalance is what drives prices through the roof. And the more people learn about the value of the 1968 D-penny, the faster the remaining high-quality examples will be pulled off the market forever. If you have a 1968 D-penny at home, sitting in an envelope, a jar, or a forgotten box, now is the time to act. Don't assume it's worthless. Don't hesitate. Don't wait for the prices to leave you behind. This is your moment of opportunity. Right now. Today. Not next year. Not someday. Wealth doesn't always arrive as a paycheck, a business, or an investment. Sometimes it arrives quietly disguised as a copper coin minted over half a century ago. The story of the 1968 D. Lincoln penny isn't just about numismatics. It's about the possibility of transformation. A reminder that life can change in an instant when you recognize the value of what you already have. And maybe, just maybe, your journey to a wealthier future begins with something as small, as simple, and as powerful as a single penny. Now here's the final cliffhanger you've been waiting for. In the next few seconds, you'll make a choice. You can ignore that old jar of coins sitting in your home, or you can open it. And who knows? The next $1,000,000 penny might already be inside it, waiting for you to discover it. Welcome back. Before you even think about scrolling away, ask yourself one question. What if the smallest coin sitting unnoticed in your home, a simple 1967 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, could be the key that opens the door to a wealthier, freer, more powerful chapter of your life? What if the coin you've ignored for decades is now worth up to millions of dollars, with pristine examples crossing the staggering threshold of $967,000 in the current market? Imagine the fear of letting such an opportunity slip through your fingers, and the thrill of knowing you might already own one. Today, we're diving deep into the truth, the mystery, and the explosive value behind the 1967 Lincoln penny. Stay with me all the way to the end, because the most shocking detail isn't the price. It's what makes these coins so outrageously valuable. And there's a twist most collectors don't even know exists. In 1967, the United States Mint was facing an unusual period of change. Coin shortages, rising demand, and production experiments created a chaotic storm behind the scenes. To simplify operations, the Mint removed all mint marks from coins produced between 1965 and 1967. That means every 1967 Lincoln penny looks deceptively ordinary on the surface. No mint mark. No special logo. Nothing that screams rare or valuable. But don't let its humble appearance fool you. Sometimes the quietest objects carry the loudest financial impact. Back then, people spent these pennies without a second thought. They slipped into pockets, fell between couch cushions, disappeared inside old jars. Most were lost to time, circulation, and the relentless wear of daily life. And that's exactly why the survivors, the pristine, flawless, untouched examples, are now so breathtakingly rare. Think of it as survival of the fittest, but for coins. The ones that endured without a scratch didn't just survive, they became legends. Picture this. A collector somewhere in America pulls out a forgotten roll of pennies from a drawer, assuming it's worth $1 at most. But as the roll spills out, One coin glows with an unusual brilliance. Razor-sharp details. Mirror-like fields. No marks, no damage, no signs of life ever touching it. They submit it for grading. Days later, the news arrives. A top-tier grade, one of the finest known. Suddenly, that tiny copper coin now has a potential value of nearly $1 million. Moments like that don't happen often, but they do happen. And nothing triggers the imagination quite like the possibility that you could be next. Because here's the truth. The 1967 no-mint mark penny is a sleeper coin, a silent millionaire maker. You can't rely on guesses or hope. You need knowledge, strategy, and the courage to act before someone else beats you to it. Collectors obsess over the smallest details. The sharpness of Lincoln's coat, the clarity of the motto, the crisp strike of the memorial building on the reverse. The richer the color, the cleaner the surface, and the more dramatic the original mint luster, the higher the value climbs. And that raises the question. When was the last time you inspected your old coins with real attention? Or have they been sitting in a dusty jar, slowly gathering the kind of potential most people only dream about? This is where things get interesting. Most people assume rarity is the only factor that makes a coin valuable. But for the 1967 penny, condition is everything. The coin had an enormous mintage, over 1 billion were produced. But fewer than a microscopic fraction survived in the type of pristine state collectors die for. That's why the price shoots from a casual 1 cent to jaw-dropping 6 or 7-figure levels. It's not just rare, it's condition rare. And here's the twist that keeps experts fascinated. During this chaotic period at the mint, certain batches of coins were struck with unusually high pressure and unusually fresh dyes. Some coins came out looking almost proof-like with shimmering mirror surfaces. These weren't official proof coins. They weren't even supposed to exist, but they did. And when one surfaces today, it sets the market on fire. Imagine finding a coin that wasn't meant to be created at all, now worth close to $1 million. Makes you wonder what else is hiding in those old jars, doesn't it? But let's go deeper, because simply knowing the value isn't enough. If you're watching this, you're not here to casually collect. You're here because you're ready to elevate your life. You're here because you're searching for opportunities that others overlook. And sometimes those opportunities come disguised as pennies. The fear of missing out is real. Every day, more people learn about rare coins. Prices rise, competition intensifies, and the supply? It never increases. It only shrinks. Every year, more coins are damaged, lost, or locked into permanent collections. But the excitement is real, too. Because if you're one of the few who knows what to look for, you hold the advantage. So what should you watch for? Always start with the condition. The closer your penny is to looking brand new, the higher the value. If it has strong luster, minimal marks, full sharp details, and rich original copper color, you may be holding something special. And if it appears exceptionally sharp, almost shiny like a mirror, pay very close attention. You might be looking at one of those mysterious high-pressure strikes. But don't rush. Don't clean it. Don't scrub it. Don't try to make it look better. Cleaning destroys the surface and wipes away thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in value. Handle it gently by the edges. Place it in a protective holder. And if you even suspect it might be a top-grade example, send it to a reputable grading service. A professional grade is the difference between a penny being pocket change and being life-changing. Now imagine this. Somewhere out there, someone is about to find the next $1 million 1967 penny. Someone is about to check an old drawer, open an old envelope, unlock an old safe, and discover a coin that rewrites their financial future. Why shouldn't that someone be you? The opportunity is real, but here's the cliffhanger you need to hear. The biggest mistake people make with this penny isn't missing it. It's misunderstanding the one factor that skyrockets its value more than anything else. A factor almost no one talks about. And that secret can create a dramatic difference between a penny worth a few dollars and one worth nearly $1 million that's coming up in a moment. Before we get to it, think of where you want to be in the next 5 years. More freedom? More comfort? More security? Sometimes, creating wealth isn't about working harder. Sometimes it's about recognizing what you already have. A rare penny, an overlooked opportunity, a moment of courage. It all begins with awareness. Now for the secret. The highest value 1967 pennies don't just have high-grade surfaces. They are part of a tiny group known as ultra-gem survivors. These coins were likely preserved unintentionally, stored in sealed bank rolls or forgotten Federal Reserve packs that were never opened. They were untouched, uncirculated, and hidden away for decades. That untouched preservation is what pushes their value into the hundreds of thousands. It's not luck. It's condition and rarity multiplied by time. And here's the exciting part. These rolls are still being found. Attics, basements, abandoned storage units, estate sales, old bank boxes. The treasure is still out there, silently waiting. So ask yourself, have you checked everywhere? Because the tragedy isn't that some people never find wealth. The tragedy is that some people walk past it every day, never recognizing it. The 1967 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is more than a coin. It's a symbol. It represents the possibility that ordinary objects can hold extraordinary value. It's a reminder that opportunity often hides where we least expect it. And it's an invitation to look closer, to act smarter, and to claim the wealth that others overlooked. So the next time you pick up an old penny, don't laugh it off. Don't assume it's worthless. Don't toss it aside. Because the next one you hold might be the one that changes everything. And when that moment comes, when you realize that you're holding a $967,000 treasure in the palm of your hand, just promise you won't faint before you cash it in. Imagine walking past an old jar of pennies in your home, the same jar you've ignored for years, and discovering that one tiny brown coin could be worth more than a luxury home, an exotic car, or even your retirement fund. Sounds unbelievable, right? But today you're about to learn why an ordinary-looking 2002 mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin millions of Americans touched without a second thought, has recently shocked collectors by selling for as high as $202,000, and why some experts believe the right variations of this coin could eventually reach into the millions. Yes, millions. And one of them might already be sitting quietly in your home, waiting for you to notice. Before you think this is just another coin story myth, stay with me. Because what you're about to hear is based on real market sales, real rarity patterns, and real collector behavior happening right now. People are cashing out on coins they never expected would be valuable. The only real question is, will you be one of them, or will someone else find the treasure you overlooked? It all began in the early 2000s, a time when the U.S. Mint was mass-producing billions of Lincoln cents. The year 2002 looked like any other. Denver minted an enormous number of pennies, just like it always had. And yet, hidden in that ocean of copper-plated zinc were a tiny number of extraordinary errors, coins struck with anomalies so rare, so visually striking, and so unexpected, they would eventually capture the attention of the most powerful collectors in the industry. Here's where the story takes its dramatic turn. For years, these rare 2002 error pennies went unnoticed. They circulated through pockets, cash registers, and even Halloween candy bowls without anyone understanding their value. And that's what makes today so urgent. Many of these coins are still out there. They were never recalled, never tracked, never recorded. They could easily be in your home, your glove box, your old childhood coin folder. Maybe they already passed through your hands, and you just didn't know. That's the fear collectors talk about, the fear of losing a life-changing opportunity simply because it didn't look expensive. But the rare 2002 pennies do have signs. And if you know what to look for, you can identify a coin that could be worth $10, $000, $50, $000, even $202,000 like the now famous auction record. What makes these coins so valuable? It's a combination of dramatic minting errors, extraordinary preservation, and collector demand that is growing faster than anyone predicted. Some of the most valuable 2002 pennies include major double-die obverse examples where Lincoln's profile or lettering shows strong, undeniable doubling. Others include off-center strikes so dramatic that nearly half the design is shifted. And then, there are the ultra-rare high-grade business strikes, ordinary-looking coins that somehow survived in nearly flawless condition. Imagine a penny being handled by machines, tossed into bags, shipped across states, and still ending up with a grade so high that only a microscopic scratch separates it from perfection. That is where the real money is. That's where wealthy collectors are battling each other at auctions. And here's something surprising. The collectors paying 5 or 6 figures for these coins aren't just hobbyists. Many are investors. People who know that rare coins can appreciate faster than real estate, stocks, or even gold. People who understand the power of scarcity. A 2002 D penny in top condition is not just a coin. It's an asset, a wealth vehicle, a piece of American history with price potential driven by emotion as much as by rarity. But as values climb, so does urgency. The market is heating up. Every month, more people learn about these coins. More family vaults get opened. More drawers get searched. And every coin pulled out of circulation is one less left to be discovered. That's the excitement and the pressure. What if someone else finds the one you could have had? What if the penny you almost threw away is the one that could have changed everything? It sounds dramatic, but that's the reality of today's coin boom. And yet, this story isn't just about money. It's about the transformation that comes with realizing you've overlooked value in your everyday life. How many treasures have we passed by without knowing? How many small things hold the power to change our destiny? The 2002 D penny is a symbol of that possibility. Something tiny, something ordinary, something forgotten, holding the power to rewrite your financial story. Of course, people always ask, how do you know if your 2002 D penny is worth big money? The answer starts with careful inspection. Look for strong doubling on the date, the word liberty, or the phrase "in God we trust." Look for off-center strikes where the rim is uneven or part of the design is missing. Look for broad-struck examples with no raised rim. Look for die cracks, cuds, clipped planchets. Any physical detail that makes your coin different from a normal cent. And most importantly, check its condition. A perfectly preserved coin with brilliant luster could be worth far more than one with scratches or wear. Many people wonder how a simple penny can reach such high values. But ask yourself, why are diamonds valuable? Why are rare paintings valuable? Why are classic cars worth millions? Scarcity, demand, history, emotional connection. Rare coins check all of those boxes. They aren't just metal. They're preserved moments in time. They carry the story of a nation. They hold the fascination of collectors who will pay extraordinary amounts for the right piece. And here's the cliffhanger no one expects. There are still varieties of the 2002 D penny that experts believe haven't been discovered yet. Think about that for a second. Unknown varieties, undocumented errors, hidden minting anomalies that could become the next six-figure treasure. Can you imagine being the first person to find one? The first person to submit it for grading? The first person whose discovery becomes a headline in the numismatic world? That's not just wealth. That's legacy. But let's take a moment to get real. Many people dream of wealth, but very few take the small actions that open the door to it. Checking your coins costs nothing. Zero. But ignoring them could cost you the opportunity of a lifetime. How many people have thrown away a fortune without realizing it? How many rare pennies slipped through the cracks because someone assumed they were worth exactly 1 cent? If you've ever wondered how ordinary people build extraordinary wealth, it often starts with recognizing hidden value. The rare 2002 D penny proves that sometimes the path to a wealthier life begins not with a huge investment, but with curiosity, awareness, and the willingness to look a little closer. So search your jars. Check those drawers. Open the old boxes you haven't touched in years. Pull out the coins you saved from childhood. One careful look could be the moment that shifts your financial future. People are making life-changing discoveries every year. Just imagine the emotion of realizing that you were holding a small fortune all along. The excitement, the disbelief, the rush, and of course, the question every collector faces: what will you do when you find yours? Will you sell it and enjoy the payout? Will you invest it? Will you pass it down as a symbol of luck and prosperity? Whatever you choose, one thing is certain. It all starts with checking the coins you already own. Because somewhere out there, someone is about to find the next 2002 D penny worth $202,000 or more. And it might as well be you. So before you go, remember this simple truth. Wealth doesn't always arrive wrapped in gold. Sometimes it shows up disguised as a penny. And if you're willing to look closely enough, you might discover that your wealth story has already begun, one small coin at a time.